Welcome back. This is video 5 of my series looking at image 10, verse 8 of The Secret. In my last video, we went over the end of the solution and pinpointed a place where I believe the treasure has been buried, and that is here at the southern foot of the A. Schoenleber building, which is currently known as Buck Bradley's Saloon and Eatery. So when I figured this out, I contacted Buck Bradley's. I called the owners. And I actually talked to Wally. Good guy. He was a busy guy that day, and he took time out of his day to talk to me. And I just tried not to sound like a crazy person, because I'm sitting there telling him about this treasure hunt, and he's in a hurry, so I'm keeping it short. And I basically just tell him that I think that there's a buried treasure in one of his planters. And so then I started asking him about the planters, because I knew that there had been trees there. And so he tells me that the trees had eventually died. I guess the planter, being as small as it was, it just didn't really work for that tree, and eventually the tree died, so they just pulled it out. And so I asked him, well, did you happen to see anything or find anything? And he said, no, they didn't find anything. And so I was encouraged. Looking at this, image, you can see right down here, the image date is from August of 2018. So I'm thinking, okay, we're looking pretty good here. So he says, oh, we end up covering up one of those planters. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously? So I ask him, like, okay, which one did you cover? And he thinks about it for a second, and he says, it was definitely the south one. So he covered up the south planter, which is the one that we want to look at, and he covered it with cobblestones. And so I mentioned, well, did you happen to see anything? Did you dig this stuff out? And he said, yeah, we did dig it out. We didn't see anything. And I said, well, how deep did you dig? And he kind of said, well, we dug down a little bit, and then we put down, I forget what he put down. If he put down gravel or something a little harder, like maybe they poured cement. I kind of forget on that part, but then they laid the cobblestones on top, he said. And I said, well, he buried these things up to 3.5 feet deep. And he said, well, we definitely didn't go that deep. So it is very possible that the cask is still in there, and that it is now covered up by cobblestones. And he was like, I can't believe it. He goes, we just did that recently. If you could have called me before, I would have totally helped you out. And I was just kind of like, man, I appreciate it. Obviously, we missed our opportunity on that, and we basically kind of said, okay, there's really nothing more that we can do at this point. So, I wasn't going to ask the guy to dig up his cobblestones, as I'm definitely not going to pay for it if it does happen to be the wrong spot. But yeah, that's kind of how the conversation ended. And I guess not having absolute 100% visual confirmation on this, if somebody would like to go down there and snap a picture of that and see what it currently looks like, feel free. But if that is the solution, and that cask was or is hidden there, it is now currently covered by cobblestones. So I sat on this information for a little bit, just took some time to process it, and decided that I was going to go ahead and share it with the community. So my opinion, everybody that's been searching in Lake Park, I think you're wasting your time there. I think this is the spot. I think the young birch is the answer to the riddle, and it leads you to this spot. But hey, if you don't buy into this, feel free to interpret it and maybe go to a different place if you can try to make the clues work somewhere else, or maybe figure out something that I might have missed, I mean, feel free. But um, in my mind, this is the place. This makes sense. So, I understand this might be controversial to some people. They might not buy it. Um, Whatever. You can believe what you want. Like I said, in my mind, this is where it's at. So let me know what you think. And if you stuck with me through 5 videos again, I appreciate it. And let me know what you think in the comments.